Hi everyone, welcome back to ITOM batch 3 day 41. How are you doing guys today?
Absolutely good. How are you, Jay?
I'm also doing good, thank you. Okay, so
Hi,
let
good morning.
good morning. So let's proceed for the next things now. Before proceeding again, I just want to check any questions, any you know thing which you want to ask related to the last topics which we have covered in event management. Anything from anyone else? Okay, if no, I think let's get started. Let me share my screen to you guys. Let me know once it's visible to you. Okay, so what is the topic today? Let me, this one, okay. So what is the topic today? How the impact matrix settings or configuration we can do and how we can view that impact matrix or impact trace in the service now in event management, right? But as you know, the impact matrix which we are able to see, that's we are able to configure through the service maps. So for that, what I did, I just loaded some service maps and event management plugin demo data basically, which includes a couple of service maps, and then we are going to be showcase how that is going to be impact, right? So the first things which is mentioned here that I already did because it takes some time, so I already did it from my side. Now what we have to do, then we have to be open the specific user verification service maps, and we'll see how that looks like basically, right? So if I go to the service operation workspace, if I click here, you can see the user verifications that is now looks like okay with zero severity, zero alerts on this particular service maps. But whatever you are able to see that APAC, which is red, and there are a couple of others which is other service maps which have that definitely some alerts or something is on top of it, and that's why it's showcasing that impact on there on that particular service maps, right? So let's do the thing is, so okay, now user verification, let's move to this. We have already this one, I already did it. Click on the view service link in the list. Okay, so here what they are showing. Okay, let me go to the application service table. I hope they are in application services. Yeah, event management services, application services. Let's go to that side. Okay. Yeah, if you see, that's all services, and we can see that what severity is, or what is looks like the particular service. Now let's click on the survey project view service. When I click here, this will load the particular service map basically. Let's load that one. It takes a couple of minutes to be complete this one. Yeah. So my service map is loaded here. Now, if I just, before proceeding to anything, this is my service map view basically, right? So when we are going to be configure any service mapping for automated way or manual way, that service maps will be visualized here, and how that's how basically service maps looks like, right? So what happens in when we are going to be configure the service map in manual and automatic way, every time we have an entry point. Okay, and that entry point we can define what is a business service or what is the application service it is, what is the target CI, what is the manual, it's a manual or automatic, so it's a manual name, so manual endpoints comes, and you have to be define a entry point as a manual CI. So here the entry point manual CI is this one, and top of it we just make a connection with MS SQL and the Windows server, which is again that MS SQL and all the Windows server is connecting to this application, right? So that we can do, right? And if I just click here, we can do edit service here because it's not in edit as of edit mode as of now, but we can do edit service as well, right? Now if just want to see so want to see if what is the impact, or how the things is looks like basically, so you can also navigate to this one day, weeks or month if you want to see. So that's activated 1 month ago or 1 month things basically, so that information is also available. You can see those informations here, right? Impact tree, basically if you see, this is the impact tree which we are going to be discussed today with the scenarios. So how that impact tree looks like and why it's showcasing yellow and why others showcasing is amber, sorry, green, and what happens if impact is on this particular alert, right? So if alert impact is there, how we can showcase the impact to my top service, right? So here we can configure this one, right? So where we want to showcase impact on application service or parent. If I select on the parent, automatically if any alert generated on that CI, that will showcase the impact on my particular service maps parent things, right? Then how, what type of influence we want to configure, and these are the some units, or I can say the severities. Based on that I can configure how this particular things will be look like, right? So what does that means? Red, major, minor, or the warning is if a critical alerts is received from the source monitoring system, in which do we want to showcase the same critical alert on the service maps, or we want to be influence that particular priority from critical to major or minor or warning, right? So that we can also change that configuration here, right? So that's the information is available here. Also if any alert is running, anything is there, that we can see that impact here. If any changes is going on, we can see it here as well, right? As I mentioned, properties, whenever you are clicking on any CI, you are able to see the properties of every information here in the right hand side pane with the name, serial number, type, and you can see the detailed properties once you clicked it here, right? If I just click on the database, you can see that application, it's a database, what's on which port it is running, what is the running process is, how, what is the service pack used for which everything is there, and you can again you have a detailed properties which you can click and see the complete informations about the database, right? That's the basic thing. Also you can navigate using this one plus minus, so you can do this one service maps identifications for that. Also if you want to large the search view, you can this one, when you click on this one, it will fit in this particular service map size basically, right? So if I have a big size example like that, if I click here, it will fit the things, right? This is the basic informations about the service mapping view. Now what we have to do, we have to be configure the impact, right? So on particular user verification service maps which we are going to use. So what we can do, we can here it's also all the list available, whatever the service maps you have it, right? So we are going to do the user verifications. Once I click on the user verifications, the service mapping load, it's saying you can add it in favorite, that's not required. So see, this is the service maps which is loaded here. Yeah, this is complete service map which is loaded for this particular user verification application basically, right? Again if I click on this particular entry point, now you can see, like, let me give you the brief idea about it as well again. So entry point is for this is this. So what is the entry point? Basically entry point is how the application, or how the application is basically accessed by the end users or our customers or partners, right? So this is the URL through that they are accessing, and what type of that URL, it is HTTP URL, right? So when we are going to be configure the service maps, we are going to use the this particular endpoints at HTTP endpoint, right? For HTTP or HTTPS URLs, right? So once we are connected to that, if you see, that's connecting to this particular load balancer service, which is running on that particular one, right? So this is first load balancer service. Under that load balancers, we have servers on which servers that load balancer is running on it, right? So that 10 dot this server, basically it's running Linux. This is Linux servers. On Linux servers, we have just configured a load balancer service, right? So that's there, that information is there. Now that load balancer is connecting to two clusters. Basically there are two clusters, and one is again Microsoft IIS server, and second is again also Microsoft IIS server, but both are different. Basically one is IIS farm v and one is load balancer 240, right? So if I see you, when I just expand this one, you can see this is my one of the IIS servers. But if you see, when I click here, you can see that connecting to that load balancers, right? This is also connecting to that load balancer. The same way, this is connecting to that load balancer, and this is connecting to that load balancer. Now impact matter calculations comes in the picture. So just a scenario, if I tell you, now you can see the 4 web logics or web servers available here, right? If let's take an example, if my this particular server is impacted due to any XYZ region, what will be impact on my complete service to showcase, that is the impact on impact matter calculations will showcase you, right? How you can showcase that impact to complete one. And also because there are two servers the same time running in a cluster, and if this is impacting, definitely it's not a full impact. If it is a critical alert running on this machine as well, it doesn't mean that will impact to the my complete service, because another service is also up as of now. Till that time we are not getting the down alert on this particular server, completely down, right? So only the one, in that case, that will be the high load on this particular server, right? And then we are understanding and visualizing, like if it is down, means my 50% of the things is running as of now, and I need to take it up as soon as possible, right? So let me expand it. Right now if you see, then these particular things is going to be connected here. If you see the specific all 4 servers, this have a connections to that particular Apache, and that particular Apache going to be connect with that particular IBM WebSphere server, right? So you can see that configurations. Second thing, if I just click here, you can see all the 4 web servers is connecting to this particular database, and then they are going to be connected to that particular SQL Server integration services, and then there are 4 exchange things are connecting directly to this particular service, right? So and now the thing comes in the mind, how these things is populated, how that is creating a relationships automatically. So there are 2 ways when we are putting entry point, and if every component which is available here, it's discovered by ServiceNow out of the box, or discovery is available, right? So in 90% cases, that relationships build automatically, right? But what you have to be understand and what you have to know about, like access is already provided for read only files of each server, right? So what access or what read only file I'm talking about, the configuration file. So this particular server have a configuration file which access should be provided to the discovery user, which we are using for discovery. So whenever we are running discovery, automatically the configuration will be read and will make a connection to this particular database. So in this particular configuration file of this particular IIS 6.0 server, the information mentioned to making a connections to the next level devices, right? So one information is mentioning about this particular database, and one information is mentioning about this particular data Apache server, right? So that things is available, and based on that we are making connections. Again, that informations we are capturing using the PIDs and other informations, right? So that's there, and we just only making the connections with that, right? So if that is there, then my service maps will be created in 90% in correct way. If it is not, we have to be chased out with that application or infrastructure team to be provide that access, right? Second thing, this is a automated service maps. Sometimes we are not able to get the access on service maps, how we can create or how we can add the CIS, or if sometimes we are CIS is not discovered properly due to some restrictions from the security concerns, but we need to showcase something on the service map. So we have the manual capability as well on the service maps, just to showcase the impact to adding a manual CI here. If any alerts come, so we can tag that particular alert with this particular CI, so we have a visibility that alert is running on this particular CI, and that's why this particular service map is impacted, right? So that is all about a basic understanding all about the service mapping, right? Definitely we'll go to discuss deep little bit, but yeah, this is all about the service maps. Now, if what I am going to do, whatever that he just mentioning to you, that's it's a IS form V application cluster with cluster nodes. There are two clusters which is running on this IS 6.0. They also showcasing the impact tree, right? So let me showcase. If I just click this one and go to the impact tree, now you can see IS form V. This is one of the cluster. Under that, the two servers are running, which is two services are running, basically root web service, this, and then another one is also there, which is running on the two things. And these are the servers, basically IS04 or SCOM 2017, on which that web application service is running, right? So they just want to showcase this one, the same thing which I just mentioned to you, right? These are my top services which I just mentioning here. Now modifying impact definitions with units, right? So if you see, if I just click on the impact here, right? So one moment. Yeah, so if you see these particular things like application impact on application service, what is the influence of 100%, right? And that is there. Then second thing is application cluster member. This you cannot select as parent or child, it's automatically parent, and you can set the influence on it, right? What type of percentage or unit you want to be calculate, right? So what we are going to do, we are going to be calculate based on the unit this time, right? So what I'm going to do, changing this one and putting 2 units. Why? Because we have two web servers available here in application cluster as a application cluster member, right? So then just configure this one. So once I configure two, now you can see the 100. Once it's done, it will showcase you the 50%, right? The same thing which is just mentioned here as well, right? So impact tree will be update the 50% influence to threshold for each member IS 6.0 by selecting 2 units in a 2-member cluster, right? If we have multiple, I can say what I'm trying to say. If we have multiple cluster devices or multiple services or multiple servers available in this cluster, based on that we can, if it is 5, we can put 5 and automatically 20% of each allocated to that, right? Now this, if you see, this is 50% and this is again 50% showcasing here, because we divided this particular things there basically, right? And if you see, the impact on the servers is still 100%. Observe the host. Right now what I'm going to do, I'm going to generate a critical event to showcase you this, how this particular things basically will work, right? So if I generate an event, till the time I'm generating an event, any questions in this particular thing, basically this is little in different side, but it just to be visualize or influence the impact on the service maps basically. We are generating a critical event on red wire, chassis down, and this is the device on the node which we are generating event, right? So let's generate the event. Let's refresh. Alert is processed. Let me open the alert as well. So alert is generated. It's critical alerts. Everything is configured. CI is also tagged. Here you can see also as a impacted services application CIs and user verifications you can see, right? Alert execution is also done. So basically incident will be generating if something is there, right? Incident is also generated automatically, which we have already configured, right? So event is every information we are able to see that. Once we are moving here, now you can see the impact, right? Because it's this is the CI on which the impact it is. But if you see here, it's not showcasing the impact on this particular user verification complete service maps. That impact is just showcasing on those particular CIs, right? Because we have not configured to showcase impact on the parent. We have just configured to showcase the impact on here as well. If I go to the service operation workspace, let me refresh this one. Here it is. User verifications. Now you can see this is showcasing here because the critical alerts is running on it, right? Now, as I mentioned, we can influence this one to showcase. If it is showcasing here red, but we don't want to showcase because it's not a huge impact on this particular thing, we can control that as well from using or changing the informations for these particular clusters basically, right? Which is here. If I just put to parent only, let me put to this for parent only. Now this particular impact will be changed on the service operation workspace as well. I think it's take couple of seconds or couple of minutes to be changed that particular one, but that will change, right? So what they are showcasing here, if we expand this particular, service maps, we are able to see that particular impact, right? And we can review the impact tree basically, right? So if just reviewing the impact tree, what I'm just trying to mention here, if I just click this one here, this is the user verification that's showcasing the impact on the parent. Now if you see what I did change here, if I change here, automatically when I select the parent, my impact is showcasing here on this parent CI, right? Because what I understand here, what I understand, this particular impact tree is, if if impact is here, if I just want to replicate the same impact on the parent, that will be replicated and my service map impact will be updating in that particular way only, right? But if we feel, this is not the parent CI or this is not the impacted CI end of the day, because on top of it nothing is running on it, we can change this particular calculation or impact matrix to the application service only, right? Now in how much influence we want to showcase, that is also up to us as well, right? The same way I'm doing here, this one and this one again to the application service. And what I just mentioned to you, if you see this one is a critical alert, but I just don't want to put as a critical, I just want to put like this way. I'm just changing to the amber for both things. Now if I go to again the service maps here, let me see. Yeah, if you see immediately when I change to the yellow, my impact from the cat severity, high severities to change to the yellow, or basically the warning side, or on major side or minor side basically, right? So we have that capacity or that visualization as well to showcase on what type of alerts and how many type of alerts we want to showcase that impact to particular service maps, and how it's visualized to the our customers or partners who are looking for this particular service operation workspace basically, right? The same thing they are just trying to mention here. We can see we can modify the propaganda of different severity, right? So if we just change it for different severities, just which is just mentioned to you, right? So they also put it to yellow, wait for tree to update. Once it is updated, we can see the user verification move to the
So basically, when you are changing the severity over here, So it is just changing the color code, and
Yes.
on the basis of the color code, it is representing on the workspace that whether it is fall under the category of critical or medium, low, whatever, whosoever
Right.
has configured
Right.
it that way. My
Exactly.
question over here is, when we are in a live environment and we have such kind of a things already been configured with the sign off of a customer, we cannot change any of those things, right?
No, we cannot change any of those things. What I'm trying to mention here is as a use case. Now let's understand first of all the use case here, right? So if that's something, the impact calculation is not working properly, right? Every time when you have an impact or any alert is coming on any cluster, example, I'm taking an example of this cluster, right? So the impact is showcasing on the parent, right? So this is not the correct one, right? Impact always showcasing on the application service, because these are connecting to a application service which is user verifications, not to the cluster or not to the parent of the load balancer, right? Because load balancer is running on the different CI and this particular web server is running on the different CI. But if it is running on the same CI, definitely we can configure this particular impact showcase on the parent as well. The first thing. Second thing, customer is also, it's two units. I just split it in that one. But customer, if multiple CIs or multiple things are there, customer don't want to showcase the impact to complete cluster as well, right? He wants to be look into it, which in the particular cluster which CI is impacted, right? If I just configure or influence that one, that is one thing. Second is, you know in different words I say, like how we are going to be showcase the impact on my service maps. Sometime customer says the critical events which we are receiving, that actually they cannot control the severity on whatever configured on the source system, right? But that critical events are not that much critical for us, and we don't want to showcase our service map every time, showcasing them with critical alerts or with the red severity on the service operation workspace, right? So they also want to be modify that informations to you to influence that particular things, basically. Getting my point? So in that case, we will come and configure this impact recalculation.
Okay. Um,
That's the only, and out of the box, the calculation which is happening here, that is a schedule job which is running in the backend for the impact metric calculations. Based on that, everything is happening here.
but
We are
but
configuring the
isn't
thing.
it like the impact calculation be decided on the on the application score, which is on the basis of the criticality. Say example, in the banking,
That
I have
something.
10 services, which is most critical services. So when these services are already been defined as a critical services, when I have my maps and everything, so over here also this need to be configured as a critical only, and on the basis of that, this critical, major, minor, warning, and all these will be automatically get the impact score, right?
Right, right, right. So now you are missing the two things. Understand, right? So
Um,
what
uh, Sorry,
what you are.
Ajay, I'm getting confused
Mhm,
to understand. I'm telling you, where exactly I'm getting confused. I'm
mhm.
getting confused where exactly I need to define the impact calculation or the impact score of the application. So
We
this is where I'm having a problem.
Right, right. I got your point. That's why I'm saying you're mixing the two things basically. Whenever we are going to be configure my, application services, right? Let me
Mhm.
give an example here. Okay, let me see this one. If you see, whenever we are going to be configure, you
Yeah.
can see business criticality, right? This is the business criticality based on you are defining how much your application is critical for you, right? So if you see the most critical, somewhat critical, and the not critical, right? But let's take an example. There are four most critical, right? But what it's in your side, you are saying it's a critical, most critical for me. Based on that impact calculation also happening, but what I am just trying to showcase you, like on end of the day, it's a most critical. You just configure a particular thing, but end of the day visualization happening through the alerts only, right? If any
Yeah.
alert received on, like example, QA audit, right, it's a most critical. If critical alerts is open, then it's your team is taking faster to do that because it's a most critical and it's going to be impact the your business directly, right? So your team will take a priority to take action on it, right? That is visualization happening here on the service operation workspace, where you can see the most criticals, somewhat criticals, less criticals, and the not critical. But that color coding which is happening here, this is like APAC loyalty is amber one, or Asia portal is red one. This is showcasing what type of alert running on that particular service. Based on that impact is showcasing here. The two things are there. One is group of the severities or priority or the severity based on the service, and the second based on the alert. Okay, based on
Okay.
the impact on that particular service. So that impact which is coming there, we can influence that impact based on our configurations. That's why we called impact recalculation.
Okay. Okay.
Is that clear?
Yeah.
So
I mean, my understanding still take the precedence because during the banking and all this, once the one of the application is marked as a critical, because it's a critical with the perspective of the transactions of the thousands and the of million and billion of the dollars. So that need to be equally taken care when it is like coming through the alerts, because it should not be contradictory in the system that events are configured as medium, but that application sitting in the system is a critical. In that way, engaging the vendors, it is tough.
now, no, now tell me.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, no, you have a critical application. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
but if you just receive a slow database connection issue on a database which is belongs to critical application, okay, and your monitoring system says it's a warning, it's not critical as of now. We just only breach these, warning threshold 70%. Do you think every time, do you think like that service desk team or the wood team is responsible taking the action on immediately? Because every particular alerts or severities have a particular SLA which they
Yes.
have to follow, right? So
Yes. Yes.
automatically on the same machine might be a P1, or a P1 alert is raised and P1 incident is raised by system. They are looking for that. So severity should be defined properly, right? Based on the
Mm-hmm.
alert impact, we are trying to showcase the impact on my service maps, that I'm trying to say here, using the
Sure. Sure.
impact calculation configuration.
Yes. Yes. Clear.
Right. I
Clear.
definitely agreed. If it is a business application or impacting my business directly, we should look to that particular thing. But we should also understand how much it is critical. Like the simple example here, it's a, now think user verification is a too much critical. If it is down for 1 minute, it will we have lost millions of money, right? But we know we that's why we put it cluster here. We in one web servers, one cluster, we have two web servers. If that is impacting, it doesn't means now I can show the complete service map is impacted, mine service complete service map is impacted, right? So we can influence that one. If both are impacting, still we have two web servers also there, right? In different cluster that is also running. So if it is impacting, then we need to showcase that my 50% of application is impacting now. We have to be take it action immediately, right? And if it is 100% impacting, automatically the P1 will be generating based on the alerts, because alert is giving that information to us what is impact on that particular service maps, right? We are not deciding, we are just influencing that impact in a different way to visualize on service operation workspace using the impact tree calculation. That's it, nothing else. Okay, I hope
it's clear.
getting it my point basically.
Yeah.
Okay, so that is just we are showcasing right now. We can modify impact with percentage as well, right? So what I put it earlier, we are just putting based on the I can say the units. We can put on the percentage, right? So if now the use see the simply the things basically here. If I just push the percentage here and also put this one as well is it's also, let me put this one as well, 50%, right? So if we are showcasing my application cluster member parent is a 51% impact, and if any alert will raise on it, right, it will showcase on high severity side, right? It will showcase the high impact calculation for us because we put it a 50% influence on the particular one, right? So what will happen here, if you see the my devices which is connecting under that, it's divided to 50-50%. If I just showcase you there, I think it's not refreshed properly. Let me refresh this one. So here what they are showcasing here. Now my service means which is the cluster is here. It's have 100%, but now we have configured 51 and 49. So that's by my that underneath the clusters which is there, it's showcasing the 50-50. Right, and we can see that particular things basically here it's a load balancer 250 cluster member now each have 50 impact on the parent cluster health after setting the influence threshold to 51, which have above the two member cluster fixed influence of 50. That we can just configure those particular informations. If I go back now you can see. Now let me give you the see. Here you can see it's 50. Now if I go to here impact tree, this is changed. See, this is 50 under that 100, but we changed to application cluster to 50, right? So IS 6.0 one thing and another is this one, and top of it the load balancer 250 is running, which is connecting to this one. There is no impact on it, right? So we just change the influence basically here to the 51, or earlier we just changed unit through the units basically. If we have two devices in a cluster, based on that we can say if we want to put the three, we can in simple words we are dividing the I can say utilization or the capacity of the devices in a cluster, right? If we have if I give an example again, if we have a five devices in a cluster, if a single machine is impacted, it doesn't means that my complete cluster or complete application is impacted. Only one machine is impacted from that cluster. It means I have a 20% impact on my service maps. My 80% things are still will be running continuously. Getting my point? That's the thing is we can configure in the impact metric calculation. Also, if I just click remove this one, here, you can also configure the impact path for storage as well. You can configure for OS clusters, right? Application, right? You can configure for network path because as of now, I think it's a no network and nothing is connected. But if a impact through the network or infrastructure dependencies, like if I just quickly showcase you this one, open in dependency view. So meanwhile it's opening, we can also configure that impact in the different way here and different things basically, right? And the same way we can put the influence unit as well, right? So if I just open the different, now if you see this particular Microsoft IIS web server connecting to this particular Windows server, okay? And if you see this particular Windows server is not part of that particular service map. It's just showcasing here the IS 6.0 running on this particular Windows server, but end of the day that particular Windows server is not part of it, right? My app part of it here in service maps is the applications things, application table or application records, right? So if any impact on my Windows server, let's take an example, my Windows server is completely impacted, will this impact my application service? Definitely will going to be impact my application and application service as well. So we can configure that impact to in that way as well to influence the impact to my applications, right? If any other component which is connected here, if that also impacted and that's impacting my application, we can also configure that impact using the dependencies basically, which I just mentioned to you. Yeah, in infrastructure dependencies, we can do that. Network path, if any network connected path is impacted, then we can also do that, right? And we can see the network path. I think if I just click here, no, not this one. Let me go to the edit mode. So everything is available. The thing is how we can or how we want to showcase to our end customers and how they can visualize and how they can able to get some values, right? See. Okay, I think no, I'm not getting this one. Network path something when I click on the right side. No, it's not there. Yeah, okay, see. When I see this is my connections basically happening and this is network path is showcasing to me, right? If I click this one, resume mark boundary, let me, okay, one moment. It's little. So that's network connections is just showcasing me here, network path basically from this particular load balancer service on this server. It's connecting to the root web service 1 and root web service 2 as well, right? Because the same have the two different. So this is network path basically showcasing me. If I just click on this one, this is also showcasing Apache web server. This is connecting to the web server samples, right? So we can also showcase that particular impact on the network path as well. I think this is all about in this one, and I think let's have a event management SLA module creation, right? This is nothing but yeah, it just configuring the SLA for event management specifically, right? Where on which task you want to be showcase this particular things to be trigger, the cost SLA definitions you can configure basically, right? And like the same way you are configuring for I say if I say for incident management, right? So SLA will be there for P1 is to different, P3 P2 is different, right? The same way you can configure the SLAs here and you can showcase now your question comes in the picture Eklavya, how much criticality you have given to the service map, how you are going to be influenced that one, and how you are going to be showcased or as configured the SLAs to take immediate action on it, right? So you are going to be configured that particular SLAs basically, right? So duration is 4 days, schedule is 24/7, time zone is based on SLA definitions, on which target you are putting that particular SLA. So if you want to be configured in that way, you can put that particular one, right? So if what severities you want to be take care in this particular
It's
SLA,
the
that
application service, right?
yes, that's for application services specifically. SLA definitions for application services. So you can also configure. So it basically what it's do, it just give the more priority based on the SLAs, because end of the day your team is going to be worked on the incidents, right? And if incidents they have able to see that particular application service connected which has a higher SLA as compared to others, then they will definitely take a I can say they will definitely take immediate action on it, right? Based on the SLAs, everything is going to be worked upon, right? So they are going to check those particular things, and based on that, the task and other things will be there, and they are going to be taken action on it immediately. So you just try at your side to be configure that one. It's nothing. It's just a incident management type of SLAs which you have to be configure and triggering the task to showcase. Okay, any questions in that particular things from anyone?
And these areas are coming under event management.
Yeah, 100%. That is event management.
Because maps are also involved into it. So that is the reason, like,
Yes.
initially the confusion has started from there. That
Right, right. So now if you say Ajay, the CIs is also impacted, CI is also involved, so CMDB is also involved here, maps is in, but end of the day, IT operations means how we are make efficient our IT operations and reduce the business impact in simple word, right? And that IT operations build with these 4 or 5 pillars. What is one is CMDB, one is discovery. A discovery is nothing but how my CMDB records are updated or up to date every time whenever we want to take a reference for anything. Okay, for reporting, for event management, for service mapping, or different things, right? So discovery is doing that particular thing. Event management is giving the health report of my infrastructures. Service mapping is visualizing that particular impact which is happening through the event management or event monitoring tool to my application services. So end of the day, these all are three correlated or connected to each other, right? The fourth thing is comes as a orchestrations, or we can say auto remediation in simple words, right? That is also one of the part where IT operations involving lots of money or most of the things basically, right? So we can also automate that particular things using here in ServiceNow, right? So that is also one of the part of IT operation management, right? So these are the 4 or 5 pillars which is connecting to each other to cater that particular things basically in simple go. If it is not, then it will not, right? And if customer says, hey, I purchased the service mapping but I don't have the event management, what is the use of the service mapping if you are not able to see the impact through a normal alerts? What is the use of the service mapping? Do you want to create every time a manual incidents to showcase on impact on the service map? If yes, then
mm,
it's no use of it, right? You are doing manually the
absolutely.
things, right? Sometimes customer says, I purchase event management but I don't have service mapping. Definitely agreed ki they no need it service maps, but service map give you some extra visibility to your top management or your incident management team to where is impact, what is impact, and what type of impact it is, and because they know if everyone cannot remember everything, but infrastructure team when looks that particular architecture diagram, they can easily understand that's a web server. It's that in this particular web servers, these particular things is running, these particular transactions will be happening through the web servers, and this is the impact on it, right? Means impact can be multiple types. Might be application will be slow, might be application will be not responding, might be user is impacted to logged in, might be they are not able to do the recharge. End of the day, everything is running on those applications or web servers only, right? But which application or web server are impacted, that is most important to understand what is actual impact on that application. Getting my point? So that's required, that must be required to do that.
Ajay, though the question is
Mhm.
like a little late, but can I ask you that? Uh, because I go through documents and I do get confused with those definitions and all this. But if you can just give me a one-liner, I guess
Mhm.
that would be great. Uh, First is what is service? Second is what is application service? Third
Mhm.
is what is technical service? And the
Mhm.
fourth is what is logical services? Because um, when you go through like the CMDB, when you just do all these like the initial understanding and everything, there is a multiple type of definitions and all, and which like
Right.
easily you get confused with it, and every time you need to come back to rebrush it. So according to you, since you have a thick experience in this, so can you just give one liner explaining what all these things are so that it would be much more easier to understand?
Right. So what I feel, these are the service, technical service, application service, everything is theory, right? In my in if someone asked me, What is service? Service is nothing. Service is which a organization is providing to their end users, partners, or stakeholders, right? That service can be anything, right? Service is a top layer basically. If I just in simple words, if I say like you are using Airtel, so Airtel providing you service to do the recharge, right? Airtel providing you the service to providing the Wi-Fi services, right? Airtel gives the operation services as well for Wi-Fi if your Wi-Fi is not working, right? They also providing the Airtel Extreme. They also providing the new connection. So these are the services. Okay. Now, what is technical service or application service or that logical service? Logical service, nothing basically. There is no word of logical services, but technical service, business service, and application service. Now, first is business service. Business service is nothing, but under that particular service, we created a segment, for example, a new connection service. Okay, and now new connection service can be served by different applications. Okay, example, as a end user, when I go to Airtel store to purchase a sim or sim card, they ask me to sir, come here, provide, fill this particular information on that application, and fill provide your Aadhaar card or PAN card or government ID proof, upload it here, and then you can get a new connections. But this is a front applications, we are able to see that, but in backend might be there are different applications. Now when I'm talking about applications, don't be confused with, there are two applications basically again here. One application which is running on the infrastructure, and one is logical application name, right? And which is running on the infrastructure is like Tomcat, Apache, or Redis. These are the applications, right? So these are actual applications, but what I'm talking about, these logical applications, right? So which we have given the name of the logical applications, right? So logical application name basically, in our phone we are using WhatsApp, Facebook, or a couple of other applications. These are the logical name given to them, but end of the day, that are connecting to infrastructures that are running on some of the infrastructures as well, right? So on which infrastructure it is running, might be there is some different applications or different database and different things is installed. I'm not talking about that one, right? So here in business service can be consist with multiple application services or applications which is connecting or serving that particular business service, right? I already give an example of, in simple words, if I say a service, business service for my organization is onboarding to offboarding, right? But onboarding to offboarding a complete business, because that's going to be impact my business for hiring process. Okay, if any component which not working in that one, that is a thing basically, right? So under that, what we are, I'm going to do, I have a logical applications like onboarding ke liye, I'm going to use the naukri.com for selecting the resumes. Then we have interview schedule application where I'm just putting the application or candidate name, user ID, or the email ID to send that invite on it, right? Third is selection process. Once interview is done, we are finalizing and releasing the offer letter. That is one another applications we have it. Fourth is once user is resource is onboarded, we are providing the laptop and all, right? So he's going to be request for the laptop or whatever the accessories he needed, right? So that another application, right? Fifth is related to their salary, payroll, and other things. That is some finance related applications. So end of the day, what is my thing? Complete onboarding to offboarding, right? But different services, different application services is different services, not talking about application, different services are serving that particular purpose to my my business service should work efficiently, right? So when I talking about resume shortlisting, not naukri.com, right? Naukri again, it's a third party applications which we have control, but if we want to track it, if that is impacting my hiring process, will be impacting example. And now we have to be decide where we need to create this one. Is it's a application service up now? Now let me tell you what is application service. Application service is nothing, but application service is a logical architecture of my infrastructure component for that particular application. What the logical name we have given, right? So I just mentioned you resumes, sorry, sending meeting invites and sending the offer letter. There are two different applications might be I'm using these in my infrastructures. So releasing offer letter might be I'm saying that particular application is a payroll application, and selecting or sending the invite, I just send the meeting invites for new resources or new hiring, right? So these are two different applications, but end of the day, two different applications running on two different infrastructures, two different load balancers, applications, and whatever, right? So if we are able to configure through the components, basically through the in simple words, if I say to connect that particular dots of that particular application, infrastructures, that we called application services, right? Now that application services can connect to a business service, right, where that actual infrastructure is involved, basically, right? Now the second is technical service. Again, technical service is nothing but it's just a group of the CIS, which is which we are visualizing in a different way to my technical users, right? So what happens in the technical service, basically, if I tell you, let's take an example. I'm a a VP in an organization, and I have in my name we have 200 servers allocated to me, right? But I just want to every time I my responsibility is my these 200 servers is always up and running, and at end of the day the T200 services are serving to different business services, different application services. I don't want to go on that part, but I just want to we view that my servers are running end of the day working fine, right? So what I do, I will go and configure a dynamic CI grouping, putting some conditions, and based on that will create a technical service to visualize that particular one. End of the day, these are the component of the services which we are showcasing to customer to visualize the things only, nothing else, right? And if I just quickly showcase you one moment, so if in service now things VM CMDB CI underscore service, so this is end of the day my table of the service. See, this is my service table, right? So if you see, there are lots of service available, email, Outlook, web, BlackBerry, and all, right? But under that, we have service classification, right? In the service classifications, we can say it's a business service. It's a business service, right? So that's under, if I open the BlackBerry and if I open just geographic, just to showcase you, this particular BlackBerry service is a application, business service. As a classifications, we have a classification for technical service and application service as well. If you see, that's also coming. But here you are not able to see lots of informations. You are only able to see this BlackBerry service depend on which one. If that is connecting to an application service, you can also see that information here. So this is again a one of the service which is connecting to the electronic messaging here. But if you want to connect this particular business service to an application service is just a architecture diagram for that particular business service who are supporting them, right? So you can also do that the same way technical, and you can also convert the same business service to an application and technical service. Also, let me go to one more view, an application service. If I just open this one, or might be this one. One moment. I think there's one more thing which I just want to showcase you. Okay. Yeah. Let me group by here. This is again just a different app table, app CSDM app services, but end of the day, this is app, services table. Here you can see all things, right? Technical services, my database, my applications, service classification. These are the business services, and these are business services served by these particular business application services where Learn Portal, Learn Now Portal, and the survey projects are there. Right? So nothing, big difference, just a definition difference in small things basically. And I hope I'm able to help to clarify those informations to you.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's it. Any other questions from anyone? I think I can say, yeah, yes, Abhi, you can ask your
Yeah,
question.
yeah, sorry, I joined a bit late. So I believe you started with impact tree, right, today?
Right.
If possible, if just a quick recap, I think time is also.
I think you can for the
I will go
recording.
through recording. Yeah.
Good. And you can ask the questions, but in just simple words or just recapping if you want. Let me, okay, I already closed it, but yeah, I can give you one moment. Application services. Okay, let me open this. Let me close this. Okay,
Abhi,
so
yeah. So while
it's
it's getting loaded, so I have a question. Yeah. So there you have an option to convert a business service to application, right? So logically, you mentioned like business services could be a combination of different applications serving
yeah,
the business. So how
yeah.
can be a business application can be converted to an application?
That can be converted because let's take an example. You have a business service, but which is not connecting to the different application services. They are not connecting to the different applications, only a standalone business service. They can, so the thing is, and when you're converting to an application service, you require an entry point and other informations to proceed further. So, which you are able to see here, user verification, it's an application service, right? And that application service servicing to my business services with the relationships. It's just the relationship type things only, right? But if we feel that's not a business service, it's a standalone service, so we can convert to an application service as well. They just give the capability to us to decide it's a correct business service only, or it's not a standalone business
Oh,
service basically.
okay. Just converting, yeah.
Yeah, that's all. Okay, so Abhi, what we have covered about that application, how that it looks like, and basically how we can, play with the impact tree calculations, basically, right? So if you see here, we have impact tree calculations available here, and this is the cluster basically. If you see, right, so it in this particular cluster, how we can showcase or influence that my impact to my service map, parent and child, and the clusters basically, right? How we have two influence unit, one is the percentage and one is the unit, that we have to how we can configure this one, and how it's going to be visualized to my service maps or service operation workspace basically, that we discussed, right? So you can do like just quick example. I just want to showcase you, like there is one alert running on this one, and impact you are able to see it here now. But if I just want to showcase the impact on the parent, and when I change it to parent, the impact will also showcase here. Application impact is the parent, right? So it will just take quick couple of seconds to be refreshed. So I think, see, let me refresh it again. So that impact, how we want to influence the impact from parent to the child, that is just only the thing basically. It's not influence basically. Still here, its application impact is okay. It's parent. Oh, it's application service now here. So that impact moved out to my this particular server basically, right? So this is just an influenciation basically, how we can do that, right? The same way, it's not refreshing now, but in the same day, wait up, if I go to the impact tree here, so if you see these are the clusters basically. One cluster is IS form V, and one cluster is load balancer 240, right? So if IS form V, we have two machines, load balancer have two machines, right? So we have two machines and we want to showcase the impact on 50-50. So that's why I just put it application cluster member 51% influence, and that is in percentage, right? If we want to put in unit as well, we can do configure in the 2 units, right? So that's is also changed here. So that's the impact thing. But if you refer the recordings, basically you will get the more informations about it, how you can configure and all things, right? It's again take time to be.
Yeah, sure,
good,
Ajay.
right?
Thank you.
Go through that. It will help you to get the more information about it.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions from anyone else, or are we good? Okay, if we are good, I think we can wrap up the sessions now and we'll connect tomorrow at the same time.
Thanks, Ajay.
Yeah, sure. Thank you guys. Have a good day. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Ajay.